Whoa.
Okay, yeah.
Robo, the king 3 suited, makes it 35,000.
Yeah, it's game on now. Last level of the night on day 2. Oh,
and
boy.
Persson puts in the 5 bet
4, 6,
to 90,000. Robo makes the call. And it comes Queen, Jack, 9. Queen's in the open ender for Persson.
Oh, so sad.
Robo lays it down.
You have to show your hand as well, part of the game. I'll take a seat. And
this clip that you just saw is from the day before the hand I'm about to analyze here for you today. The entire table is well aware that Eric Persson is in there playing loose, aggressive, battling poker. He is not afraid. And that sets the stage for what is going to end up being the largest televised poker pot ever to take place in America. Let's get right to the action.
Queen 9 suited for Persson.
Persson has been driving the action.
Bumps it up to 7K. Let's Robo sweat it as well.
No one watches more than Robo.
I'll put my hat down. Put my hat down.
Rob, the ace deuce suited calls on the button. It's Antonius with the ace king of hearts in the small blind.
Paul, can I have a stack of flags, please?
Wait, 30,000.
Of flags.
The 3 bet is to 30K.
He wants a color up for.
In this episode of Weekly Poker Hand, we are playing 1,000, 2,000 on No Gamble, No Future, which you can watch on PokerGO. Eric Persson playing $1 million deep opens it up to $7,000. 3.5 big blinds. Rob Young on the button with ace 2 of clubs opts to call. He could certainly 3-bet if he wanted, but calling is great too, especially if you think Persson's just going to put in a 4-bet every time. Over around to Antonius. He has to figure out what to do with ace, king of hearts, also almost $1 million deep. Obviously, he's going to re-raise. The question is, how much? In this situation, I think something like 4 to 4.5 times the initial raise is going to be very nice. That's about a pot size bet, and that is exactly what Antonius does. A lot of people mess up here and they re-raise too small to something like 20,000. Well then, the opponents in position, getting good odds, are going to call and they're not really messing up. Other players make it way too big. They make it something like 80,000. Then everyone folds and yeah, you win the pot, but you also don't extract value. Antonius does the perfect play here. He makes it 30K. Let's see if anyone sticks around.
Yellow chips.
You know you're out of position, right?
The quick call by Persson.
So did Rob.
Rob's in there as well.
Just what I wanted.
Sizable pot already developing.
Persson decides to call with the Queen 9 of hearts, which I think is perfectly fine and perfectly viable. The only thing he has to be concerned with is that Rob Young may be trapping and then will re-raise and will then force him to fold his Queen 9 of hearts. But most of the time when someone raises the cutoff and then the button calls, you don't have to be worried about that at all. So I like the call with Queen 9 of hearts in position, playing super duper deep stacked. Over to Rob Young. I think he also has a very easy call. He is going to be dominated by better ace-X a lot of the time, but in position, I think this is a hand that is good enough to call, especially if you think Persson's ever just going to blast off randomly after the flop, as we've seen him do every once in a while. So let's go to the flop with $94,000 in the pot.
I was going to 3-bet with my hand anyway, so it's cost me the same.
8-3-3 with 2 hearts. Flush draws for Antonius and Persson. Rob Young with the backdoor straight flush draw.
$40.
140.
Antonius leads for 40K and Persson snap raises to 140,000.
Ooh, this flop is trouble. 8-3-3, 2 hearts. Antonius has the nut flush draw. Is it really a nut flush draw if there's a pair on the board already? I'm not so sure. I don't like that terminology. Anyway, Antonius makes a standard continuation bet. Persson with the queen high flush draw opts to raise. And I think this is probably a pretty big mistake because when he raises from in position, if he gets re-raised by Antonius from out of position, which Antonius very easily could do with a hand like aces, kings, queens, jacks, a better flush draw, etc., well, that's not good because now Persson doesn't really know if he should continue or get out of the way because he certainly could be against a lot of ace-high flush draws and even some king-high flush draws. in which case he's going to be in terrible shape. Also, when he is against a hand like aces, kings, or queens, he's also not in amazing shape, right? You're going to find typically when you are in position, you usually want to just call when someone bets, especially when their range should be quite strong. I don't want to make it clear. Antonius is a good, strong, world-class player. He will have bluffs in his range. But in this game, he seemed to be a little bit more on the cautious side, to be fair, as you should whenever you're playing 500 big blinds deep against someone who's going to be blasting you pretty hard. So I think he should have just called here and headed on to the turn. But he puts in a $140,000 raise. Rob Young, backdoor flush draw, backdoor straight draw, overcard, makes the easy fold. Let's see what Antonius does.
Let's just run it. I think I'll be chip leader.
I think Person's serious. Just get it in. Whoa.
Antonius clicks it back.
Let's go.
Makes it 250,000. Person calls.
Antonius makes a play I was actually not expecting. He clicks it back. He decides this hand is plenty good enough to play for all of my money, which I think is pretty cool. I think a lot of people in this scenario would have just called. I would have just called, thinking, all right, I want to call and keep Person in with whatever nonsense he has. But Antonius realized, hey, a lot of his nonsense is going to be flush draws or random stuff that if I give him amazing odds and position, he's going to feel inclined to stick around with. And, you know, Person's not really the folding type. Plus, if he does rip it all in, Antonius just has an easy call. Yeah, he could have a 3, but in that scenario, it's not like you're dead by any means. And he is going to have a lot of hands like flush draws. And even against an 8, you're fine, right? Also, if Person does have an 8, he may just call the re-raise on the flop and then fold to an all-in on some turns. So you actually end up winning the pot in those scenarios a decent amount of the time too, I think. I could be wrong about that. Maybe Person just never folds an 8. But say the turn's a jack of diamonds and Antonius loads the money in or bets the turn and then jams the river. I think an 8 probably folds, but who knows? You got to realize in the scenario, Antonius has all the overpairs in his range. So even an 8's not in amazing shape. So anyway, getting good odds, in position, closing the action. I think Queen 9 of Hearts has to call. Let's see what happens on the turn.
The turn is the ace of spades. That locks it up for Antonius. Almost 600K in the pot. He has about 700K behind.
5 seconds.
You don't want to do that.
150,000.
Antonius leads for 150K.
The turn brings the ace of spades, which is obviously excellent for Antonius because now he has top pair, top kicker, which is basically the nuts against Person, who, you know, again, may be getting a little bit trappy with a 3. He certainly could also have ace 8, but really, you're not so worried about it. Antonius goes for a nice small value bet, which I think is good because, again, he's given Person position and pot odds, which if you give someone who likes to splash around a bit, position and pot odds, they're just not going to fold. Nice bet by Antonius.
Come on.
Person jams!
Person rips it in. He's ready to give it a spin with 0% equity.
Come on.
You think Antonius is going to call? Let's find out.
What do you have?
I have 600, 700, 750 some thousand.
Cool.
Oh,
Antonius
Hard drop.
makes the call.
Without a whole lot of thought, given there is $2 million on the line, Antonius finds the call, and he gets Person all in with Person drawing dead. You want to see what the round it is for fun? Sure.
9 or queen. I have 9 queen.
He hit the ace.
Ah, yeah, I'm dead. Nice hand, Patrick.
Thanks.
Patrik Antonius wins a pot worth $1,978,000. That is the biggest pot in U.S. televised poker history.
692, but the deal.
We have
I
just
fold ace as
witnessed
well.
something extraordinary. And Eric Persson left with crumbs. He is down to $67,000.
So that is it. You just witnessed the biggest pot to ever be televised in America ever. Won by, go figure, the goat of goats, the crusher for ages, Patrik Antonius, who seems to somehow never, ever age. If you want to see another video where Persson plays an interesting spot, make sure you check out my video where he makes a pretty big mistake. So make sure you check out that video too. That's going to be it for today. Good luck in your games. Have fun. Make the most of your opportunities. And if you do get it in with a flush draw, do your best to not have 0% equity.